Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we're going to be going over and showing you how to install the Curt 4 to 7-way with 4-way trailer connector adapter here on a 2021 Ford F-150. So most of your F-150s are going to come with a factory 7-way and 4-way trailer connector located in the bumper here. But there are some models out there without the factory 4 to 7-way that just have the factory 4-way mounted on the hitch here. So if you're one of those people with just the factory 4-way, this kit here is going to allow you to upgrade to that 7-way trailer connector. That way you can tow those larger trailers with electric brakes. So this is what our trailer connector looks like installed. Now keep in mind, we do have this mounted using another bracket that's not included with your kit, but we do offer this. And if you ask me, it's a great way to mount it up on the vehicle here. It looks really nice. It also keeps it tucked back behind the bumper here. So as the title mentions, this is a 4 to 7-way with 4-way, meaning we have both 4-way connection points and 7-way connection points for both of those trailers. Now the 4-way is going to be used for the smaller trailers that just require those basic lighting functions such as the stop and turn signal circuits for either side as well as the taillights. You're going to be able to easily utilize that just by lifting up the dust cap and plugging in your trailer. And then for those larger trailers with electric brakes, we're going to be able to utilize the 7-way here. So the 7-way, as we said, is going to be used those larger trailers that have electric brakes. It could also have a reverse light circuit on there that you need to utilize, or you just simply need to charge the battery on your trailer. It's going to have all of those as well as the standard factory lighting signals. Now with both the 7 and the 4-way, you do have some protection here because we have a dust cap on the 4-way and then we have a self-closing lid on the 7-way with a gasket underneath there. And the main goal of this is to just make sure we don't get any water on those pins so corrosion can form, causing lighting issues. So basically how this installs is it's actually going to plug into your existing 4-way that you already have on the truck. So you don't have to worry about splicing any into the wires that have the taillight circuits. All that's going to be done for you. You're just going to simply plug those two things in together. We're going to have a ground wire we have to attach, and then there's a few more wires we have to hook up. One for the electric brake output circuit and one for the battery charge line circuit. Now thankfully we have a shortcut for you guys here today, so you're not going to have to worry about running wires from the rear of the vehicle to the front, into the engine bay and into the cab like you would normally with this kit here. We actually found the circuits that you need to tie into just right behind the bumper here, so that's going to cut down a lot on your installation time, making this a very easy and manageable process for pretty much anyone, even with little to no mechanical experience. We'll actually go ahead and walk you through this entire process step by step now. So the first step of our installation, we need to find a way to mount our trailer connector here. Now with your kit, you are going to get this bracket here, which we will utilize, but there isn't a lot of great ways to attach this bracket to the vehicle unless we want to drill into the bottom of this bumper beam. So if you want to take a couple self-tapping screws and just drill it into the bottom of the bumper beam like so, I'm sure that would be quite all right, but in the art of not wanting to drill or modify the vehicle, we're actually going to be using a separate part here that doesn't come with your kit. This is going to be sold separately, and this is a 7-way no drill bracket that we carry here at eTrailer. And basically we're just going to use the provided band clamp that this comes with, wrap it around the receiver tube of our hitch and mount it like so over on this side. So on the driver's side, we're going to have our factory 4-way, and it's going to interfere with that. So I'm going to go ahead and choose to mount it over here on the passenger side. So let's go ahead and get that no drill bracket attached, and we'll show you how we're going to be attaching our adapter. So now we've got our no drill bracket installed. I went ahead and moved it a little bit closer to the receiver tube just because we have a limited amount of reach over here to our factory 4-way plug. But now I'm going to go ahead and attach the connector here to the bracket that comes in your kit. This isn't the separate one. This is the one that actually comes with the 4-way. So we're just going to go ahead and route everything through that center hole there, just like so, and attach it using our provided hardware. So on the front, we're going to have our little Phillips screw there. And then on the back side, we're going to have a flat washer. Let's place that flat washer over there. Follow that up with our split lock washer. And then we're going to thread on our hex nut. So that was just one. We have 3 more for a total of 4. We'll go ahead and get these on now and snug them up. So now that we have our bracket attached to our 7-way, we're going to go ahead and attach this bracket to our no drill bracket that we showed you previously using the hardware that comes with the no drill bracket. So this is pretty simple. It's just going to be 2 screws that go in through the top, and they're going to secure on the bottom side with one of these nuts. So there's going to be one of these on each side. Once we get them on there, we'll go ahead and snug them up. So now we have our two brackets mated together here. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to take, so there's two 4-ways on the back of here. One of them is going to be a male, one of them is going to be a female. So we're going to take this one here that's kind of separated from the strand, and this is actually going to hook into this keeper on the side of the bracket. So just like that. And we'll just go ahead and cover our dust cap there, just like so. So now we're going to take the other end of our 4-way coming from the wiring harness, and this is actually going to attach to the factory 4-way plug on the vehicle. So here's the factory on the Ford. We're just going to pull that down just like so, and then what we're going to do is we're actually just going to loop this back and over the trailer hitch. We'll pull it out to the back side here. And now we're going to take this bundle of wires here, we're going to loop it up and over the trailer hitch to the back side, just like the other 4-way we just showed you. So now we have our two 4-way connections at the back here. We're ready to mate them. Before we do that, I'm actually just going to clip off the dust cap on the vehicle side. And yours may be a pretty tight fit. Ours certainly is, but we're just going to go ahead and plug them in together. Now, in order to ensure that those two plugs don't come undone, I like to take a zip tie and pretty much just loop them through each of the connectors there and then pull it tight. And this is just going to offer some security. That way they don't pull apart from one another. And now finally we're going to take some electrical tape and I'm going to tape up these connections here. That way I don't have to worry about any water getting in there and causing corrosion issues. So now we have a couple more wires to deal with here. So we have these 4 wires. What we're going to do is we're first going to hook up the ground wire. So the ground wire, we're just going to use a self-tapping screw and secure it to this little license plate support area. Now you want to be careful that you don't go through the plastic on the other side, but I'm just going to take a self-tapping screw here and I'm just going to run it into this bracing. So now we have these 3 wires left. So what we're going to do is this yellow one here, this is for a reverse light circuit. Now 9 times out of 10, most of your RV trailers are not going to utilize this. The only ones that do are typically boat trailers that have a reverse lockout actuator. So in which case you would run this up to the tail lights and connect it to the reverse light wire. But again, the vast majority of the applications don't use this and we're not going to be using it either. So I'm just going to take some electrical tape here and I'm going to tape it up to this existing wiring. That way we don't ever have to worry about water getting in there and causing any issues with corrosion. But once we get that taken care of, we're going to move on to our blue and our black wires. The black wire is going to be for the battery charge line circuit. The blue wire is going to be for the electric brake output. Normally you would have to actually run these all the way up to the front of the vehicle, but luckily on this truck we've located the circuits that you need to tap into, which is going to cut down on a lot of the installation process and you don't have to worry about getting too much extra wire. So we're going to go ahead and show you where to obtain those now. So what we did is we went ahead and removed our spare tire. Now you can still access these wires with the spare tire in place, but it's definitely a lot easier to see everything with that spare tire out. So that's why we removed ours. Basically what we're looking for is we look for the forwardmost cross member here to our spare tire carrier. Above that you should have this large rectangular connector here. So there's actually a keeper holding this to the top of the cross beam. You can use a trim panel tool to pry that up, or you can just use your hands and pull it off. And now we're going to pull it back down this way. And we need to release these 2 connectors. So there's going to be a tab you depress there, and then you just pull back with that gray lever, and that's going to actually separate the 2. So here is where our 2 circuits are located that we need to splice into for our 7-way. So normally you would test these to verify the correct function, but we've done all that hard work for you. This thick blue wire is going to be for the electric trailer brake output. That's going to be attached to the blue wire coming from our adapter. And then that thick orange wire is going to be for the battery charge line circuit. That's going to be hooked up to the black wire from our adapter. So I don't want to cut it directly behind the plug in case we ever want to reattach it. So I'm going to take a razor knife here and I'm going to begin moving some of this fabric tape. So this is just going to give us a little bit more room to splice on some connections here. So about like that should be plenty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both of those wires that we talked about and I'm just going to go ahead and clip them a few inches back from our connector. So I'm going to start with the electric brake output. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and cut that circuit there. So we've got our wires cut here. I'm going to take some wire strippers and I'm going to strip back some of the jacket on each ends of that blue wire. And then I'm going to take some butt connectors, some heat shrink butt connectors in particular, because we are on the outside of the vehicle. I'm going to crimp these on to our two ends of our wire. All right, so just to explain a little bit more what we're doing here. So I went ahead and crimped one on this wire here, but we're not going to be attaching it to everything. I'm just going to tape it up, but this is going to allow for future use if we want to reconnect it. So I'll go ahead and tape that up once we get all of our connections made. But now I'm going to need to obtain a piece of primary wire that's the same gauge as this and run it from here to the blue wire coming from our 4 to 7-way adapter here. So I've got some blue wire here. Now it really doesn't matter what color you use, but in order to keep things easy for you guys to follow along, we went ahead and made sure that we had the same color. I'll just go ahead and crimp that onto our butt connector, and I'm going to route this up and over the cross member like we're going to do when I reattach the plugs. And then I'm going to attach it to the blue wire coming from our 4 to 7-way connector. And there we go, just like that. Now I'm sure you guys have guessed it, but we're going to do the same thing with this large orange wire here. So we're going to go ahead and cut that one and pretty much just do the same few steps that we showed you for attaching this one. So you can see we got our other wire hooked up here, and we just use a black wire to connect it to that orange wire, then run it all the way here to the black wire coming from our 4 to 7-way. And now, since we used heat shrink butt connectors, we're going to go ahead and take a heat gun and seal those up. If you guys just use the standard butt connectors, you can proceed to the next step. Next, I'm going to come back some electrical tape here, and I'm pretty much just going to tape everything up so it's nice and secure. We don't ever have to worry about water getting in here and causing any lighting issues. So now we'll go ahead and plug the two ends of our connectors back in together. I'm going to re-secure them at the top there with a little lever, hear it click, and then I'm going to re-secure the little keeper in the top of our cross member. So now that we have everything hooked up, it's time to go ahead and test it out to make sure it's working properly. So now there's a couple different ways to test everything out. The best way is to use a plug-in tester, such as one of the ones that you see here. You can actually purchase these from eTrailer, but I understand not wanting to buy something you're only going to want to use one time. So the easiest way is probably just going to be to use your trailer, but keep in mind if there's any issues on the trailer, they will carry over to your testing on the vehicle. We're going to start by testing the 4-way out with a 4-way plug-in tester. So now with our vehicle started, we'll go ahead and run through our signals, brakes, left turn, right turn, and then finally our taillights. Now we're going to do the same thing with our 7-pole here using a plug-in 7-way tester. So now we'll go ahead and run through all of our signals again on the 7-way side. We have brakes, left turn, right turn. We have our taillights, perfect. And then we do have a brake controller hooked up, so we can show you the brake output. And that's there, perfect. So the only thing we can't really show you is the battery charge line circuit. And the reason for that is the way that Ford wires them on this vehicle here. They're always kind of finicky. Usually they only work when you're actually shifting gears in motion with your trailer hooked up. So we obviously can't show you that sitting still, but if you have any doubts, you could test that a little bit more in depth there with the trailer rolling. So now all that's left to do is take some dielectric grease, go ahead and coat the pins inside the 7-way and the 4-way. But once we're done with that, that's going to do it today for our look and installation of the Curt 4 to 7-way with 4-way adapter here on our 2021 Ford F-150.